Hello everyone, this video is about the 40 minutes city cruise from London Eye. Guys, the cruise just set off, unlocked.
The captain will give you full instructions. For your own safety, and in particular for any young children on board, please remain seated as much as possible.
I think this river cruise, it will take 40 minutes.
So welcome aboard your one-way trip to Southend on Sea, ladies and gentlemen. Our boat will be arriving in Southend in approximately 2.5 hours' time. We will drop you off at Southend. Now, our boat will not be returning to London, so if you do require return tickets, you can purchase them from the pier ticket office. The next boat back this evening is at 9 o'clock tonight, which will get you back into London for 11 p.m.
They're only joking, love.
I'm only joking!
He's here.
Just making sure everyone's awake in this very hot sun.
Guys, Nick, video me here.
Let's get started. Well, first of all, my name is Liam. I'll be your
Nice to meet
for an
you.
hour. Now, yeah, if you're on the upper deck, whichever it is, I do need to ask you to remain seated, please. No standing up to take photos, because if you do, you will block the captain's view. He's driving the boat from behind you, and it's really important he sees where he's going. We don't want any Titanic moments, do we? Speaking of which, if I see a Jack and Rose
Listen to our tour guide here, guys. He's talking.
You've been warned. Now, pandemic-wise, obviously the rules have not changed. We would still recommend you keep your masks on, even on the upper deck, and this is because of the way the wind is going to be blowing around you all. Obviously, it's a different situation now, so it's entirely your choice. I'll be keeping my mask on for the entirety of the journey, that's what I'm saying. There is also hand sanitizer provided down the stairs, and also, if you require any assistance, you can talk to my colleague Shira. She's happy to help you out with anything you may need. She's currently located on the lower deck. Otherwise, though, guys, we're going to have a really good tour, so let's kick off by looking at this absolutely stunning and beautiful building you can see right now. It is one of the highlights of the cruise today, isn't it? Get your cameras out. St Thomas's Hospital over on the left. Now, of course, you've got the Palace of Westminster on the right-hand side. The Houses of Parliament, completed in the 1860s and neo-Gothic design, designed by Gus's Fusion and Charles Barry. Under the top row of windows are coats of arms. Each one's unique, and they represent a different aristocratic family in England and in Wales. Lower down, the Lord's Prayer is carved into the stonework of the building. It runs all the way around it, and is meant to act as a barrier or ward to keep out evil and malicious intent. So it's not actually working. The large tower flag point from the Victoria Tower, which the ballot papers are stored for a year after a general election before being burnt or destroyed. As we're coming round, do we have any James Bond fans on board? Give me a big woo! Well, here to the right, through the centre archway of Lambeth Bridge, there's a sandy-coloured building with row of green trees in front of it. That is MI6. That's the one that blows up in the film Skyfall. Hashtag spoilers. And that's where James Bond are at the moment. Did you hear about the time Sean Connery got knocked out in his own house? Yeah, a bunch of bricks fell and hit him on the head, knocked him out. He was interviewed about it afterwards and he said, "Well, I can only blame myself." Daniel Craig, of course, from the famous scene as James Bond, he came racing down the river on a speedboat. He actually got flung from the boat. He was asked if he was alright. He said, "It's okay, he was shaken, not stirred." Let's go back to the Houses of Parliament. Now, the medieval palace burnt down in 1834. You can still see some of the medieval sections though. Those steps that were going into the water are Blackrock steps. Now, hundreds of years ago, if you were coming down them, you would have been found guilty of treason. You'd be shoved into a waterman's boat and rowed down the river to the Tower of London to get your head chopped off. Guy Fawkes would have come down those steps in 1605 after he was caught underneath the Houses of Parliament with 36 barrels of gunpowder ready to blow up with King James's side. Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I can think of no reason gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. 3 years of drama school, how good was that, right? Let me see, I'm unviable. Let's wave to the members of Parliament that might be in there right now. There might be members of Parliament there. Give them a wave, or give them any other hand gesture you deem appropriate. Big Ben. I will say Big Ben at the end of the tour because I want to keep you all in a little bit of suspense. So So instead, let's look to the left. You've got this very big building with the white stripes. Now this is Old Scotland Yard. Next to you, you've got the white building, that is New Scotland Yard. The big tree in between the two buildings with the branches coming from it is Special Branch. You have got a lot of evidence inside Old Scotland Yard from throughout the years. Most infamously, the unsolved Jack the Ripper case files, London's most notorious serial killer. He is never caught.
It's the London Eye, guys. Look, we are so close to the London Eye.
In 1888, Jack was the ultimate terror in the district of Whitechapel in London's East End. He claimed a canonical 5 victims. It could be more, could have been less. Personally, I think it was 6, but I'm no criminologist. We'll probably never know who Jack the Ripper was, unless some very hardcore evidence rocks up. They were actually doing DNA testing on a shawl that apparently belonged to Catherine Eddowes, his 4th victim. But we'll never know for sure, and I don't think anyone ever came with that. In front of us, you've got the Hungerford Railway Bridge with the Golden Jubilee footbridges either side. Their designs look similar in architectural style to the London Eye. They were delayed in their opening back in 2002 due to an unexploded World War II bomb found lying on the river. The bridges run into Charing Cross Station over on the left. Take a look at Charing Cross Station for me. It's meant to represent something. Any ideas what? People often say to me, Liam, it looks like a toaster or a jukebox or the Batman symbol. One lovely man once said, it looks like my wife giving birth. Lovely. What I've told you is meant to look like a steam train coming out of a tunnel. You see that? Nope, neither do I. The area of Charing Cross is named after one of a number of crosses set in the 51st possession of Eleanor and Cathedral, the white King Edward the First, Edward Longshanks. He was very tall, apparently. He was 6'2", which is quite tall, especially back in the 1200s. Also known as the Hammer of the Scots, because he was fighting with William Wallace and King Robert the Bruce. And also, he was the King of conquered Wales. It's very popular here, not very popular anywhere else. Over on the right, you've got the South Bank Centre. It was built for the Festival of Great Britain back in 1951. And it was meant to raise the spirits of the people of London after the Second World War. We've got the Royal Festival Hall over there, comes in London Philharmonic Orchestra. We've also got the Queen Elizabeth Hall and the Purcell Rooms. It's a beautiful part of the city to go for a walk in, a lot of nice bars and restaurants and cafes. Also, the world's first skateboarding park is over there. And on the left is the Savoy Hotel, that white building with the green roof and the flag. Very fancy hotel. 1920s art to go inside. First hotel to ever have electronic lights and elevators. It was very British. £12,000 a night for some of the rooms at the Savoy. Minimum of a 3-night stay. Now for that you get your own butler, your own living room, and you see some bed sheets which have been hand-stitched with unicorn here. I never call it.
I think that's the Shard, Payo. Where's the Shard? You know, the tallest building.
On the right, you've got the Royal National Theatre. And it's ugly. It looks like a multi-story car park. In fact, Charles said he thought that building looked like the back end of a nuclear power station. It's much prettier on the inside, though. We've got 3 theatre spaces in there. The largest one being the Olivia Theatre, named after the actor and first artistic director of the National, Sir Lawrence Lydie. Tickets from as cheap as about £15 to watch a performance in there, which for the centre of London is really quite fantastic. Or if theatre's not really your thing, if you're more of a television fan, you might be excited about the white building behind the green trees on the right. That is the ITV Studios. Now,
It's another cross, guys. Look, it's
brings us
full.
all of our very intellectual
It
and
looks like that's
educational
big. That's a
television
bigger
shows
cruise.
like Jeremy Kyle, Take Me Out, and today's Saturday Night Takeaway, and the god-awful Love Island. In fact, if you see this beach on the right-hand side, that is London's 5-star beach resort, Gabriel's Wharf, Costa del Thames. Who needs to go to Mallorca when we've got that? And that is where they film Love Island. The wonders of CGI. Those people down there on the beach right now, sunbathing, building sandcastles, and catching typhoid from the water. You then got this red brick building with the white stripes on the right hand side. That is the Oxford Warehouses, the meat production facility for the Oxford stock goods back in the 1920s and 30s. Take a look at the tower at the top of the building. What do you think it says? If you think it says Oxo, you're wrong. That's because we are floating on royal waters. This is a royal highway, and therefore to advertise your company name on the River Thames without permission is illegal. In the 1930s, Vauxhall were taken to court for building that tower, and what they said to the judge was, we are not advertising our company name. All we have done is order windows in a random series of geometric shapes, which just so happen to get circles and crosses. So if you think it says Vauxhall, that's all in your mind. And the judge went, oh, right, fair enough, they got away with it. Madness.
Now he ran out of voice now, love.
We like to nickname our skyscrapers in London. We've got a little bit of a thing about it. Do you see the big curly shiny skyscraper on the right? Londoners have just come up with a nickname for it. They are calling it the Kardashian. Bridge you're going underneath, Blackfriars Bridge, so called because it used to be a Dominican priory in the north bank of the river, and the friars here were Black Robes. It's the 10 Blackfriars. There was been that friar that Henry VIII was divorced from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. Later on, the friar was closed out in the dissolution of monasteries when he broke away from Rome and made himself supreme head.
Then just hold it a minute.
Oh, and what are these mysterious red balls, Leo?
It's so beautiful.
It is sponsored by Coca-Cola. It is a very, very mysterious story.
I think that's the
feel
shard.
adventure
That's the shard, I think, guys.
Mystery
That one there is the
and
shard.
highest
Old
gates.
triangular building.
And I'm not going to tell you. On the right, you've got the Tate Modern Art Museum. It used to be the Bankside Power Station, but that big chimney up there was causing too much pollution. It is now one of the most famous modern art museums in the world. So if you like modern art, that's the place to go. If you don't like modern art, do not worry, they've got a bar at the top. And on the left, the dome of St Paul's Cathedral, 365 feet high. That's one per brave day of the year, making it the tallest building in London up into the 1960s. Designed by the architect Sir Christopher Wren, and replaced the last St Paul's which burnt down during the Great Fire of London. Many famous events have taken place in there, including the marriage of Princess Diana to Prince Charles, the funerals of Lord Nelson, Winston Churchill, most recently our first female Prime Minister, Baroness Margaret Thatcher. Christopher Wren himself is buried inside, and his epitaph reads, if you seek my monument, look around you. Martin Luther King also did a ceremony in there at one point. And little fact for you, Christopher Wren didn't want a golden cross at the top of St Paul's, he wanted a giant golden pineapple. In those days, pineapples were seen as a symbol of prosperity, but he was told absolutely not. Now, we're just going by the reconstruction of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre on the right-hand side. The original globe stood just up in front of us, and it burst down in 1613 when, during the performance of Henry VIII, an actor fired a live cannon on stage. In a building made of wood with a thatched roof, what could go wrong? I think it's safe to say that actor was very quickly fired, because it wasn't a bright spark. A bit at last. And his career ended with a bang. Well, at least he brought the house down. Second Globe Theatre was built when they ripped up by the Puritans. I'll tell you more about that modern Globe Theatre on the return. But this area on the right, the area is Southwark. If we were to go back in time to the days of William Shakespeare, this area was the den of debauchery and sin. You see, you came for a knocks night out in London, you had your bear making, bullfighting, cockfighting, cops disappeared.
Then just hold it like that, Nick. I'll stand there.
Crown
Hold it.
himself King Richard III. Did he have his brother to become king? We may never know for sure. Sadly, we cannot see the bloody tower from the boat.
That's the tower. Tower of London.
Now, as we sail underneath Tower Bridge, legend says that if we wave to people on the bridge, we will...